I'm always going to be a fan of that guy, Craig Ferguson. I think for the past year, I have done nothing but watch his clips from the Late Late Show. And these clips are not new. I mean, they feel like they're new, but these clips are from 2014, 2013, 2012. Like he's been off. He left the Late Late Show in 2014 and then James Corden took over. And I'm just watching these clips, and some of these clips came from the 2000s because I think he started in 2005. And these clips are amazing because you don't see this type of interaction on shows today. There's a lot of flirting. Like he flirted with a lot of his female guests. Probably dudes too, because we don't see the dude clips that much. But there was a lot of flirting, and they flirted back. Like I miss that interaction between men and women on TV because everybody's just having fun. But the Gen Zers destroyed that because they don't have fun. But if I start thinking about who's my favorite late night host, it's like, it's one would probably be David Letterman, 2, Johnny Carson, 3, Arsenio Hall, 4 would be Craig Ferguson, and 5 would be Conan O'Brien. Dave, because Dave just changed the game in a lot of ways. I remember Dave's morning show that was canceled because he didn't fit morning TV. And then Johnny Carson gave him Late Night with David Letterman. And Johnny told him, you can't have any of my guests and your budget is like $2. But Dave took those parameters and just created an iconic show with him and his ex-girlfriend who helped form the show with him, man. And they just created a whole new paradigm of late night TV. Number 2 is Johnny Carson, because if you watch any late night host today, they still come out like Johnny Carson. They come from the curtain. They kind of, they do that act. And Johnny, not like he started it, but he raised that platform because, he was influenced. Jack Paar was before him and Steve Allen. But Johnny was the king. He just raised that mark where dudes like, no, I want to be like that guy. Even David Letterman was like, I want to be like that guy. Arsenio was like, I want to be like that guy. Speaking of Arsenio, he's number 3. 2024, we still don't have another Arsenio Hall. And when you watch these old episodes of Arsenio and the guests that he has and the music acts that he has, nowadays a lot of those acts are on TV, but it was such a cultural force for its time. It's a shame that we still don't have another Arsenio Hall. Like he came back years later, but he's older now. It's like, it was never going to work with an older Arsenio. You need a younger Arsenio who can host this type of show. And it's a travesty that we don't have another Arsenio Hall today. It's crazy. Number 5 is Ferguson. I'll get to him in a minute. Because for Craig is just great. And number 5 is Conan. Conan is a goofy guy. I am a goofy guy. So we're a perfect fit. He also flirted with women, but it was like goofy flirting. But the women were kind of into it, so which is interesting. So yeah, and he's a smart guy too. Like I think Conan's very underrated. And then after that, you can mix up Colbert and Kimmel and Fallon and all those guys. I mean, they're fine, but that's my top 5. Let's go back to Craig. The video by Craig Ferguson is that, his show was the Late Late Show. It was after David Letterman. And David Letterman put the same constraints on him that Johnny Carson did. So Dave was like, I'm going to give you more money than Johnny gave me, but not much. So that's why Craig had the puppets and Jeff, the ambiguous gay robot. And you had Secretariat the Horse. And you had so many crazy things because Craig didn't have a budget. He didn't have enough budget for a band. So I think they just took away Seth Meyers' band. NBC made some pay cuts and he took away his band. So Fred Armisen, all that stuff is gone over there by Seth, which is crazy. But yeah, Craig didn't have a band, so he had to say, I got no money. So he created this whole crew of crazy characters, and it works. It works so much, right? But the thing that we see on the internets is those interviews. It doesn't matter if it's long clips or short clips. His interaction with women is just superb. There are videos that you can watch where they say, learn how to flirt like Craig Ferguson. Learn how to talk to women like Craig Ferguson. Now, a lot of those tips are true because he's really good at conversating, flirting, adding like smart conversation, listening, like slight innuendos, which really doesn't cross the line. That he'll get real close to the line, but sometimes not go over. And if he did go over, he kind of pulled it back, depending who the female guest is. He's just a master of this stuff. The guests will come out all the time and he'll rip out the blue cards. It's like, oh, you look wonderful today. You look fantastic. He just comes out. You're so good. But the problem with Craig Ferguson 2014 versus 2024 is that he can never do that show today. He can never do that show today. Because baby boomers, who he is, the women get the joke. Gen Xers get the joke. They get the whole flirting thing. Most millennial women get the joke. Once we get to around Gen Z, they don't get the joke. Because if Craig Ferguson was around today, they would say, "Oh my God, he's so toxic. Oh my God, he's so cringeworthy talking to these women that way. Oh my God, he's old enough to be his dad." Like, they take all the sexiness and fun out of it. What's up with you Gen Zers? Don't you learn from us Xers and boomers and millennials? See how much fun he's having? So much fun. And the thing is, when the women were on the show, they all dressed really sexy. And I don't think he went to these women saying like, "Oh, like you have to go on the show. Like you have to," I don't think the producers say, "Well, you need to dress sexy." No, these women watch these other women dress sexy. And they said, "Wow, well, I can't go out like that. I got to dress sexy too." And they will just come out there. And they also know when you're on Craig's show, he's going to flirt, but it's just fun. And he's a smart guy. He's a well-read dude. Lived around the world. So he would say, if he hears something, oh yeah, I lived in that country, or I lived in that city in Brussels or someplace like that. It's like, "Oh, did you really?" And they get into a whole conversation mixed in with the flirting. But they got it. Like, I remember Rashida Jones was on there. Like, Rashida Jones never really dressed sexy. Like, she's nice, but back then she really, even less now because she's older, but back then she really didn't dress sexy too much. But on his show, she dressed really nice. And she was like, "I'm not wearing this outfit again." He's like, "Wow, you look wonderful." It's like, "I know." But you can tell she didn't feel comfortable wearing that. But because she saw so many other women doing it, it's like, "Oh, I can't come out here wearing pants." I got to dress sexy too. But he just made the conversation really relaxed for the ladies. It's almost like he made it so relaxed where they didn't know what they were even talking about. Like, I just like this dude so much. But again, today he hosts a podcast called Joy. So he's 60. I think he's 61, 62. I can't remember. So he's older now, right? So he's not, when the show, he was in his 40s. And then I think when it ended, he was in his 50s. So he was a bit randy. He was a bit randy for his age, as they say. But 60s, he probably couldn't, even if he did come back, I don't think it'd be the same show, because he's a 60-something-year-old guy trying to talk to these Gen Zers like he talks to the Xers and the millennials. I don't think it was going to work. There's only a few women today that I think would have been perfect for that time span. Like Sydney Sweeney fits Ferguson. She would have been in on the joke because she understands. She's like an old school chick. She understands flirtiness. She understands how guys are, and she knows how to flirt back. She understands the game. But some of these other ones, they get offended really fast, and he probably would have got canceled because, like, "Oh my God, he was being rude." He wasn't being rude. He was just being flirty. Like, he can never do things today like, okay, so when you end the segment, it's okay, well, you could either have an awkward pause, touch my glittery ball, throw frisbee at the horse, or do you want a mouth organ? You can't do that today. You cannot say, "Do you want a mouth organ" on TV today. And most of them would say, so a lot of them do the awkward pause, but someone's like, "I'll take the mouth organ." And it's like, "I'm sure you do." Oh my God, I wish you could do the show today, but you can't. But shout out to Craig Ferguson. Number 4 on my list of my favorite late night hosts ever. Probably should be number 1. Because I love this dude so much. Because of all of them, I probably, outside of Arsenio, I probably watch his clips the most. But do yourself a favor. If you miss the days when a guy can flirt with a woman and she flirts back and everybody has a good time, watch these Craig Ferguson clips. You will not be disappointed.